Yes guys, I'm Si. This is Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel. Good to have you. This is your Stoke City versus Cardiff City FA Cup preview. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a new little space, a new venue, as it were. I'm at the radio station. Been a very busy week, busy day. So in order to make sure that I was able to give you guys the preview that you deserve, I thought, why not just do it here, where we can have a chat and we can look at some of the different options for Cardiff City and Rhys this weekend, as well as looking into what Stoke could do. The Stoke side of things is a bit more difficult because I'm not as familiar with them, and they're young players, they're squad players, stuff like that. So it is going to be very brief with the Stoke side of things. In terms of the form and that side of things with Stoke, very mixed form in all competitions. They've won 2 of the last 6, drawing 3 and then losing the other one, as opposed to Cardiff have won 3, drawn 2, lost 1. So as I say, it's a bit of a mixed bag. However, it should be a really interesting game. I got a lot of time and I like some of the Stoke players. They've got some really talented young players, but they've also got some big players out. They've got a few injuries, few injury doubts, but they're also missing Al Kamidi, who's on loan. They're also missing Linden Gooch, Berger as well. So all 3 of which are new signings, and potentially could be without your Ben Pearsons, your Jordan Thompsons, Eric Bocat, Sol Sideby, Ben Wilmot as well. So they could be lacking a lot of players. Obviously Cardiff will be without Isaac Davis, will be without David Turnbull. And we're not sure about Aaron Ramsey, but we'll get to Cardiff in a minute. I think Stoke will kind of line up something like this. You're looking at maybe Johansson in goal, Chukwuemeka, Phillips, Rose, Stevens, Moran, Seiko, and Bay, with Lowe, Kumas and Tesgay as their sort of front 3. There's 2 players in that Stoke side which I really like, and 2 players which I believe are really dangerous and can be a big threat to Cardiff City. One Welsh fans will be very familiar with, and that's Lewis Kumas. Electric pace, decent finisher, and his link-up play is getting better and better the more football he plays. But Saido Seko is the one. He is the danger man for me, and he's the one that could make things tick for Stoke. Obviously, it'll be dependent on whether they can get him fit and stuff like that, and make sure he's there. But if he plays, he is a danger man. He is someone who can control the game and dictate. It's tricky to say because you don't know what squad players they've got. They got through on penalties, I believe, in the last round. Let me just check that because I'm not sure if that's right. In the Championship, this fixture was very close, and the table would suggest that they're very close. So you think it's going to be a very tight game. I know a lot of pundits and similar have kind of gone with a draw and penalties. I actually think away from home could be a bit of an advantage for Cardiff, because Stoke's form has been quite spotty. There's an opportunity there where you can maybe quieten the crowd down if you start well. Obviously we need to start better than we did against Leeds United. That was a big problem. And one thing we need to learn from last week is not allowing that space in behind, not allowing the likes of Lewis Kumas and co to get in behind us, particularly early on. So we need to set up solid. We need to set up with defenders in defensive positions, round pegs in round holes. Mark Robins has come in. I think long term, most people agree that he's probably going to do a decent job at Stoke. They might have finally got the right manager in place to take him on, but it's difficult. It's difficult to really tell, because I know he hasn't got the same assistant manager, for instance, who he's had previously. So that is a problem in itself, maybe. But I quite like him. I like the way he sets up. He likes that 3 at the back. So one option for Cardiff City is to match that, match a 3 at the back. Set up pretty solid. You could go with like a Bagan, Fish, Darlin, Bagan, Fish, Gutas, Bagan, Fish, NG as your 3. And then you can really decide what you want to do. If you go with wing backs, you could go with Perry NG at right wing back, you could go with Rinamoto if you wanted to be a bit more defensively solid, or you could go with some younger players. You could go with perhaps NG on one side and then Louis Giles on the left hand side, and really give it something, you know, nice and young. I don't actually think we'll go with the 5 at the back. I think we'll go with this 4-2-3-1 that has worked quite well with a solid base. If it was me picking, I would kind of mix it up a little bit, and I would go with younger players at the back with one experienced head. I would like to see Louis Giles get an opportunity. I don't think he will get an opportunity. I think it'll be Bagan at left back. I think it'll be Darland, Fish and NG as your back 4. And then that middle of the park will be interesting. Does he kind of give Alex Robertson a rest? Does he get Manswerk in there? You know, for me, the new signings and the squad players need minutes to make sure they're up to speed and ready to play when we need them coming later into the season. So I'd go with Manswerk, and then I would like to see Manswerk and Alex Robertson, but I think Omar Rhys will go with Manswerk and probably Joe Rolls as a 2, Ruben Colwell in the 10, Ashford, and then it's whether you go with El Ghazi or do you give young Will Alves his debut, and then I'd like to see Salic through the middle. I see some people saying, you know, could he give the 11 who played against Leeds, could he give them the chance to redeem themselves? And if it was a league game, I could kind of see the argument for that. But with a cup game, I really believe that, you know, the likes of Ruben Colwell, the new signings like Manswerk, the likes of, you know, Joel Bagan, Will Fish, they deserve a start and they deserve some game time, and they deserve the chance to make a stake to start league games. That Leeds game was a disgrace the way we capitulated. So let's give the likes of NG, the likes of Giles, the likes of Bagan, Fish, Manswerk, Alves, Salic, Ruben. Let's give them all a chance to stake a claim for the first team. I wonder if he doesn't go with Rolls, he might go stick with Chambers and put Manswerk next to him. I think Manswerk can definitely play a bit of a 6 role, a technical role, a bit like a Frankie de Jong, where he's very good on the ball, reads the game really well, and does his like breaking up play in a different way to say a Siopis or a Rolls would do, where they go searching and they go, you know, really sort of being a bit physical and energetic. I think Manswerk relies more on his reading of the game and interceptions, and then he can progress the ball, he can carry the ball really well. Maybe it takes him a little bit of time to get fit, but this is a game where you get him in there. For me, I would start Salic. I would like to see Rivic Soko on the bench. I would like to see Luke Pearce on the bench. I thought Luke Pearce was really impressive in the last FA Cup game, and people I trust say that he's probably a little bit further along in his fitness journey to Rocco Simic. So yeah, like Pearce, Simic, I'd like to see both of them on the bench. I'd like to see Aaron Ramsey on the bench for 15-20 minutes at the end. Regardless of the score, I'd like to see him come on just to move along. No pressure, either to see the game out, either to, you know, get the game over the line, create something. If you need a goal, he can do all that. So I'd like to see Ramsey on the bench. Who else would I like to see on the bench? If Giles doesn't get a start, I'd like to see him on the bench. And then I really would like to see, you know, like a Perrin or a Manny Barton or someone like that on the bench. Just a new name, someone who maybe they just get 5 minutes, you know. But let's give these young players an opportunity. Let's give Callum Robinson the week off, or the weekend off. Let's give obviously our Ollie Tanner's injured. Let's give Alex Robertson and Callum Robinson, let's just give them the weekend off. We got a game on Tuesday. We know where they're going to play, so let's just give them the weekend off. Let Ruben get 90 minutes in his legs. Let Salic get 90 minutes in his legs. And you've still got the likes of Luke Pearce. You've still got Ramsey. You've still got Rocco Simic as well to come on if needs be, as well as maybe a Mate or someone like that as well. It's going to be a really interesting game, and what will be the best way to tactically set up. I would like to see a full rotation, really. Halworth in goal. I'm trying to think if anyone retains their place from the starting lineup against Leeds, and I think no, maybe Rolls, but that's only because I want a bit of experience in there. And actually, when I think about it, I'd be very happy to see Manswerk, Robertson and Colwell as the three. Like, I'd be really genuinely excited by that, with Alves on one side, Ashford on the other, Salic through the middle, you know, Louis Giles, Bagan, Fish. Like, that's exciting to me. That's almost like a team of under 25s, captained by Perry NG at right back. Like, I would love to see that. That excites me. That's building for the future. My man to watch for Cardiff will be, no surprise to anyone, I guess, but it's between Salic and Manswerk for me. I'm really intrigued to see both of them play from the start. Manswerk has a lot of qualities that I think we lack in that number 6 role, in terms of ball carrying and being able to break the lines with his passing, something which Siopis just didn't have in his game. But Manswerk is also very good at doing the interceptions and breaking up play, which Siopis was obviously very decent at. But Salic he looks like a poacher to me, and that is someone who I can hang my hat on, so to speak. If we put the ball in a box through El Ghazi, through Ashford, through Colwell, if we create chances, if Ruben Colwell creates the similar amount of chances that he did in the last round against Sheffield United, then I anticipate that Salic will finish them. I think he's a real goal poacher, plays his best work between the posts, but in the 18-yard box, you create chances for him, he will score. But he also works hard, and that's where Ruben, can be dangerous. Is Ruben Colwell will win the ball high up the pitch for you. He's got one of the highest stats for getting the ball back in the advanced areas. So combine that with Salic's energy and work rate, that is an exciting little duo. Obviously, Keane Ashford, we know, will work up and down that right hand side. El Ghazi has looked sharp since he's come back, but you could also, I would be very happy to see Will Alves in there. Very highly rated young man. Obviously, it's going to take him time to settle. It's his first proper loan. It's going to be difficult for him, you'd think, but by all accounts, he's so highly rated that actually he could probably be looking at, you wouldn't be surprised if he was really special and takes to it like a duck to water. We won't know till we try. Would love to, if El Ghazi starts on that left hand side, I definitely want to see Louis Giles at left back, because Louis Giles will provide the overlap and the width to then put the ball into the box. But again, I'm not going to be disappointed if Joel Bagan starts at left back. I would actually play Joel at centre back with Fish, NG at right back. Yeah, Giles left back. Go young. Just let Perry, NG and Halworth be the two experienced heads, and let's just go young. You've got some experienced players on the bench then, as well as a mix of youngsters. Why not? Like, it's almost like a bit of a free game. But as I've mentioned now a couple of times, I really like to see those players given the opportunity to force their way into the starting lineup, to force their way into the match day squad in the league. And you do that by giving them a good hour at least, if not 90 minutes. And see what they're about. See if they're ready to step up. See if they're ready to deal with Lewis Kumas running in behind. See if Manswerk is ready for the midfield battle. See if Salic helps Ruben, having someone in front of him who's going to be an out-and-out goal poacher. See if Halworth can put some pressure on Alnwick, because I wasn't massively impressed with Alnwick's performance against Leeds. Not saying that necessarily he was to blame, but it wasn't an impressive performance, and I thought there was a couple of goals he could have done better with. Halworth did very well in the Sheffield United game in the last round, where he was man of the match. These players deserve the opportunity to put some pressure on the other members of the playing squad. I'm sure it'll be a bit more of a mix than what I've said I would like, but I do hope that there is some young faces in that squad, because we all want to see the future. And we all want to see, what Will Fish can do. Can he build on his last performance? Can Bagan keep building? What's Man's work about? Is he as good as people say? We all want to see this. So my man to watch, Man's work and Salage. But my prediction for the scores, I'm going to go 3-1 Cardiff. I'm fairly confident, depending on the team, of course. But please do let me know what your score prediction is in the comments. Let me know what your team would be. Do you agree with me? Would you go young stars, or would you go more of a mix? Nice one. Please do become a member if you can. Helps us create content 7 days a week. Make sure you subscribe, liked, all that good stuff. And if you haven't got your tickets to Glen Loovens yet, then get them. See you soon. In a bit. Thought the ins were relatively good. We addressed pretty much what we needed to, certainly the urgent ones. I probably would have liked to have seen maybe 1 or 2 out, just because we look a bit bloated, but that's obviously up to the manager to manage. But I wanted to get your opinion on kind of the ups and the downs of the transfer window in the Championship, and who you thought has done well maybe, and who not so well.
We'll start with the positives. I think that's always a nice place to start, because I think a lot of teams have done pretty well. The general consensus is this was quite a busy January window, I think. There was a lot going on, and for a January that normally consists of quite a slow window, teams being quite pragmatic, teams not wanting to sell, and teams also asking for a lot of money for their players in the middle of the season. But actually, I think we almost went against that a little bit in the window. Generally, a lot of teams did a whole lot. There were teams that struggled, and we'll come on to that in a second. But the teams that did really well, the ones that stand out, I'll start with one that I think goes under the radar a little bit. Potentially not, but I think Millwall had a fantastic window. They had a really, really quite cleverly strategic one. A really quite cleverly strategic one. If you look at the notable out, they sold SA to Crystal Palace, but what you can only ask is that when you sell a player like that, you reinvest it into the squad, and you reinvest that money into the squad, and sort of almost allow yourself to bring in assets, and almost look at the long term as well as the short term when you've got money to spend. It's not always easy to have money to spend either. When you sell a player for good money in the January window, other teams know you've got money, and that can sometimes make it quite difficult. But I think Millwall went around it really, really well. They strengthened the squad for the now. They strengthened in the long term as well. You look at the age profile of those signings, a lot of them permanent. The average age of their new signings are 21. So like I said, you're looking at the long term. You're bringing in assets for a player they sold for good money to the Premier League. They kept Tanganga too. They're really quite strong and crucial centre half. They won't get spoken about, I think, as much as Sheffield United, I think, also had just as good of a window, because they're not a Sheffield United, and Millwall fans hopefully take that the right way. They're not going to be spoken about because they didn't bring in the glamorous names, essentially, that maybe a Burnley did with a Marcus Edwards deal. They went really, really quite cleverly around approaching this one. But yeah, really, really good. Fantastic. I think Millwall have struggled in previous windows before, and they always come out of the window sometimes feeling hard done by. They have a very specific model they haven't maybe been able to execute in the last couple of years, but they've definitely gone to do that. I think the hierarchy have done a great job in doing so. In terms of the others, I think Sheffield United, like I mentioned, have to be up there. If you look at that Sheffield United squad that we saw going into the season, it was absolutely all over the shop. And what they've done is definitely improved it. And the biggest indication, if you look at it, one big criteria or one big objective or one big key, if you're looking to rank a window or put a name on a good window winner, for example, is that squad coming out significantly better than it entered that January with? And I think Sheffield United definitely did that. A really strong one for the Blades. Most areas of the pitch were strengthened with a really nice blend of experience, long-term additions as well. Again, I look at age profile and assets. How old was that Sheffield United squad when it got relegated? It needed a total rebuild. It took time. It took a new ownership to come in and provide those funds, and they've definitely done that. The makeup of the squad contractually, I think, has finally got some stability. If you remember what it looked like at the start of the season, there was players all over the shop when it comes to contracts, and players all over the shop when it comes to longer term prospects of that. So the back line needed work, heavily invested. Harry Clark and Rob Holding, for example, great piece of business. No key departures too, as well. It was about keeping hold of your players as much as bringing new ones in. So yeah, those two stand out. I think Sunderland, Middlesbrough also have to be mentioned for extremely good ones. Stoke City as well went, I think, around it quite well, pragmatically and sensibly. And Stoke, sometimes that hasn't always been the case. They sort of come into this league and have done over the last couple of years and try to go about it in a weird way, and it's backfired miserably. But for the first time in a long time, with Mark Robins in charge now, they've gone about it quite sensibly. And sometimes that's not the bad thing, not the worst thing to do, I don't think, in January is be sensible. So they're the good ones. There were some bad ones. Watford had an absolute shocker. Just really, really underwhelming. And that might be an understatement. I probably would say that's a real understatement. I think that it was a really, really bad one for them. The squad is so light in air, especially in the creative positions. They're lacking in numbers. And again, Watford have been let down by their owners. There's always this idea that the Watford owners like to hire and fire their managers really, really swiftly. And there's already a story recently about Tom Cleverley being already given the boot. However, they did not back him. They did not back him whatsoever. Injuries that squad were there before the window. They have not addressed that. It's never a great sign when you see fans online the day after the window looking at the free agent market, wondering if they could pick up 3 or 4 players from there. That's always a sign of a bad window. So again, question marks over the ownership. But if we